Hey, what's going on, everyone? Victor here with K9 Peak Solutions, bringing you another video. In this video, we're going to talk about the Mini Educator ET300 remote collar and also about Hermspringer prong collars. These two tools I do use on pretty much all my dogs, unless, with the prong collar, if there's a dog that has, a certain circumstance where they're having health issues with their neck or something like that, then we wouldn't use this. We'll go different routes. But with this one, when people view it initially, it does look pretty scary. It does look pretty barbaric because it does have these prongs at the end. The prongs aren't sharp. They do not puncture a dog whatsoever. What this was designed to do was represent like a mother nipping her pup. A lot of times when you have a litter, these pups, they constantly want to drink the mother's milk all the time. So eventually, they got to wean off of it, and the mother has to give a correction to let the dogs know, hey, or the puppies know, hey, you can't drink my milk anymore. A lot of times, just for bad behavior, the mother does that as well. So that's what this represents. It's pretty easy to use. It just can be a struggle a little bit when you're first starting to use it, because how it works is it goes over, the dog's neck. You don't slide it, over a dog's neck. You kind of put it around and then attach it. So you open and close it by pinching the top right here. So I would pinch this together and pull out, and that's how I open it. To close it, I would pinch it together and then, push in. You never want to just put one side in, or one prong in, and then, slide it down, and then the same thing with the other one. You never want to just put it in and then slide it down as well. You want to make sure they go in simultaneously, and that they're secured tightly. You can also use this plate right here to do the same thing. You just kind of slide it down. For some people it's a little bit easier. You just slide it down and then pop it out. To put it back, to close it, you do the same thing. You kind of put it back in the holes, pinch, put it back in the holes, and at the same time, slide down. And that's how you get the prong collar to be closed. So depending on the dog size, you may need to add links, you may need to take away links. So when I say that, it's just simply opening it up and then removing one link or two links, depending on your dog's size, and then sliding it back through and putting it back together. That's important. So when you do have this on the dog's neck, it goes all the way to the top of the dog's neck. You want it right below the excuse me, right below the dog's jawline. That means it's really high. That's where it's going to be most effective, and it's going to be mostly this low. It's not worn like jewelry. Again, it's really high. And typically we have this part, this swivel part. Let me try to take this off. We have this swivel part. That's where the leash attaches to. So we have that on the top of the dog's neck. So we have the leash, and then we're able to give communication with the dog like that. When you're comparing this to like a regular flat buckle collar, and a flat buckle collar is simply the collar that goes around the dog's neck, and it holds the dog tags that you primarily see most people walking their dogs with. What that does, and I'm sure you notice it all the time, when people are walking down the street with their dog and their dog is pulling and their dog is attached to that, or the leash is attached to the flat buckle collar, that's causing direct pressure to the trachea when that dog is pulling. You see a lot of dogs, coughing and wheezing, like that's what that's doing. That they're essentially choking when they're walking their dogs like that. So that's why this is great. It won't promote pulling. When you have harnesses actually promote pulling, just like sled dogs. When you have that weight, being pulled against you, dogs have what's called opposition reflex. Naturally, if they pull, if you pull one way, the dog's just naturally gonna pull the other way. So with this, that prevents that. That doesn't allow the dog to pull, because again, when used properly, when high on the neck and tight, you want it really, really snug. You shouldn't be able to slide it up and down easily. It needs to be really snug on the dog. When it's on properly, this closes universally around the dog's neck, right? and again, it represents that little nip of like a mother, which prevents the dog from pulling. Um, that's how they work. They are the safest tools to use, just because they don't put pressure on the trachea. They can be harmful if you're not used right. For instance, if I put this on a dog, and if I had it low and the dog was pulling, that could cause damage to the dog's neck. If I just happen to take the dog and swing him around, like such, that's obviously going to cause damage, and can be very harmful to a dog. Just like anything, I could harm a dog with my hand. I could harm a dog, with a pen. I could harm a dog with anything. So it's our job to use these tools responsibly, and understand before we start putting them on dogs how they really operate, and the proper way to use them before we start doing things with them. So that's kind of how that works. Once we do get this on the dog, we teach him the language. We teach him what the pressure means, how to turn the pressure off, how to, walk nicely on a leash, essentially, and follow the leash pressure. If I guide the dog this way, the dog's supposed to follow. That's leash pressure. We don't just put this on a dog and start cranking on the dog's neck. That's not how you use it. You have to teach the dog the way to communicate when this tool is on. So that's how a prong collar is put on a dog. Again, it needs to be high and snug. So this is a 3mm prong. This is the largest one we actually use. They make larger ones, but I don't really see any sense on using anything larger than this. This could work for a 200-pound dog. So again, this is the largest one we use, and this is a 3.0mm Herm Sprenger prong collar. The second one under that is the 2.5mm prong, and this is what we use primarily. This is going to be between your 12 to maybe 30, 40, even 50-pound dogs. It just depends on the breed and the size. We use this a lot. This is probably our most popular one when training. This is going to be your 1.5mm prong. This is the smallest one that I've seen. This is going to be for your toy dogs, your dogs that are under 10 pounds. And it's simply the same thing. So you just kind of pinch and then open it up, and then to close it, you put it around the dog, and then to close it, you do the same thing. You pinch and then slide into the holes. So those are your 3 sizes. One thing you want to make sure that you do when you do put it on, and you have it on correctly, you want to make sure that when it's on the dog, that this chain slides very easily. You know what I mean? It slides, in and out without any problem. Sometimes what happens is when we're opening it and putting it on the dog, sometimes it flips like that, and then we end up putting it around the dog, especially a dog that moves a lot and is very jittery when we're putting equipment on. Sometimes they kind of get turned over, and then we put it on the dog, and then we find, we don't have a smooth transition between, the O-ring into these holes on the side, into the plates on the side. See how it kind of gets tangled up? So that's very, very important. It's not going to be effective if it is tangled like that. So we have to, adjust it. In order to do that, we just open it back up, and then, fix it to where we're able to just slide it through easy without it getting tangled up. And then again, you put it over the dog's neck, close it, and then we want it high, right behind the dog's jawline. Okay, right behind the dog's jawline. High and snug. Those are probably the biggest important things when you're using these. Another thing that I want to mention, and this is a safety, a safety procedure that I do with every single, my clients do this every single time, is when they're putting this on, we use a carabiner. So when this is on a dog, we take the carabiner, attach it to this right here, the O-ring right here, the larger one, the one that slides through, and then we take the carabiner, so attach it to this one, and then the carabiner, attach it to the actual flat buckle collar. So, the part, the D-ring that's on the flat buckle collar, you want to attach the carabiner to both of those, to this and the D-ring. Reason being, because sometimes, you know, you'll get a dog that alligator rolls. What that means is when it's on, the dog might, you know, turn over or something like that, or you know, rub the side of his neck against a tree or a building, and these can pop off. So if it were to pop off and you have your leash only attached to this, right, and then it opens up and falls off the dog, now this is off the dog and your leash is on here and you have a loose dog. And depending on your dog, if they realize that they're loose, they can, you know, they could take off and we have a loose dog. So we don't want that to happen. But if we have the carabiner attached to the flat buckle collar, if we have the carabiner attached to the flat buckle collar and the prong collar, what happens is, you know, since the carabiner is attached to this, if this comes off, it's just hanging on the flat buckle collar, and the flat buckle collar is obviously still attached to the dog, so the dog can't get away. So that's something, you know, we do every single time that we put this on a dog. And especially if you're going outside. If you're inside the house, okay, you kind of get away with it. But if you're outside in an environment where if the dog were to take off, they could potentially run off and it'll be hard to regain that dog, then yeah, you definitely want to use a carabiner. It's highly recommended. So that's how we use the prong collar. Another thing I want to add about the prong collars, so I see a lot of people that just struggle with opening and closing the regular prong collars. It is difficult. It can be a hassle for a lot of people, especially if you have a dog that's unruly and, you know, just doesn't like, you know, putting stuff over their neck, or you messing around with their neck and the equipment. So what I recommend for those type of people that just can't really grasp opening and closing and getting the regular prong collar on a dog is a prong collar. It's a Hermspringer. This is it right here, and I'll put the link in the description box, so that way if you want to get something like this, you can. But it just makes it really easy. So all you do is it's just like a flat buckle collar. You just clip it, slide it through. Prior to doing so, you have to adjust it to your dog's size. So if you do purchase this and you do get it, you have to adjust the length. So you may have to take off lengths, add lengths, and then get it to the point where it fits properly around the dog. And then once you do that, you just simply, you know, open and close it, and it makes it really easy to put it around the dog. The only downside with this is that you're going to be limited on your links, so it's going to cut off a little bit of links, a little bit of space where links can be, so it won't be as effective as, you know, something like this. But either way, it still works great. I use it on multiple dogs. I actually have this for my personal dog. So if you want to get that and make your life a little bit easier when trying to put this on a dog, again, I'll put the link in the description box. So just click the link, and then when you click the link, you do have to, you know, choose what size is appropriate for your dog, and then just click the add-on. There's a button, there's a drop box where it says add on the buckle. Just make sure you add it on before you buy it. If you don't add it on, So this video took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to take, so I'm not going to get into the ET300 in this video. I'll make another one separately for that, and just, you know, watch that, and that way you get a better understanding of the prong collar and the remote collar. So thank you for watching, and again, my name is Victor with K9 Peak Solutions. I'll see you soon.